can you hear me?
But you're not a doctor. You're not a doctor. You're not helping.
Absolutely horrendous. The violence in Portland has raged on as local politicians refuse to enforce the laws and stop these rioters. And these are the consequences. With me now, Congressman Brian Babin. First off, Congressman, thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Good to be with you, Pearson.
Thank you. Let's break down what happened here. What is the takeaway from this incident?
Well, the takeaway is that a small wonder that this thing is happening, that these types of things are happening when you've got Democrat politicians that have allowed this to continue, have encouraged it to continue, to have dispensed with felony charges against people who are guilty of these types of things. And it's hard to believe that this is actually happening in the United States of America, but it is. And I think we're getting a foretaste of what it's going to be like in America if the Democrat socialists win in November. I hate to say that, but it's the truth, and it's plain to see.
So tell me, how did a movement that, in theory, represents justice for black people devolve into roving hit squads targeting white people based simply on the color of their skin?
Well, it's racism. I mean, there's no way that you can get around it. And it's a travesty that someone is attacked on the basis of their skin color. But you know what this is? It supersedes race. Black Lives Matter is being encouraged. It's being helped and supported by big government, by big corporations, by billionaires. They have unlimited sources of funding, which they can spend in any way possible. If you'll look this up, you'll see they want socialism. They're absolutely anti-American. They ought to be joined in with Antifa, because Black Lives Matter is a bad organization. Absolutely.
So the mainstream media isn't really covering this event, which is at least as bad as what happened to George Floyd, if not worse, which I know is heresy to say today. But this is a man that hadn't taken a lethal dose of drugs, of fentanyl. He wasn't resisting police. He may have even been trying to help protect a transgender woman. And although the police motives behind George Floyd's death aren't really certain right now, it's obvious that the brutal attacks against Adam were specifically because of his race. This was a racist attack, period. And they proceeded to rob him and his truck. I mean, this is despicable. It's as bad as it gets. But the media isn't covering it at all. There are no national vigils or protests for Adam Hayner. Why is that?
It's simply because, as I said at the beginning, Pearson, we have Democrat politicians that are so politically correct. It is repressive to Americans today. Every single one of these areas, whether it's Seattle, whether it's Minneapolis, New York City, Chicago, Portland, these are all Democrat-controlled areas, Democrat-controlled cities and counties, even whole states. And they simply will not enforce the law. They're telling the police departments not to respond, to stand down. Many of them are even defunding the police departments. We've even seen it here in Texas. The city of Austin has taken $150 million out of the police budget in the city of Austin, right here in the great state of Texas. And what do you expect when you have no police protection? And this is exactly what they're reaping. The whirlwind is exactly what they're doing. It's despicable.
It is. I completely agree. Now, is this an all or nothing movement? Are we going to be forced to pay homage to Black Lives Matter or face the consequences? I mean, after all, they're saying that silence is violence now, right?
Well, we're hearing this, but I'll tell you, I represent East Texas. And when people come around and they start telling you that if you don't join with them and agree with them that they're going to shoot you or beat you up, that we don't take that very kindly to those types of things. And then when you see Democrat-controlled cities, counties, and states where they're taking people's guns away from them, we saw that in St. Louis with the couple that tried to protect their own home from invaders threatening to burn their house down and rape this man's wife. and their guns were confiscated and they're being charged with felony possession or whatever it was. But I can tell you, if the police are not there, Americans absolutely have got to count on their Second Amendment rights. That is why the Second Amendment was put in the U.S. Bill of Rights, and that is not to go rabbit hunting, but to protect yourself, your property, and to protect yourself from tyrannical governments as well.
So right now this is in Portland and Seattle and Minneapolis, but if Biden wins and there's no strong leadership from the White House, do you expect to see these kinds of violent attacks explode all over the country?
Absolutely. We're seeing the Democrat Party being totally controlled, commandeered, if you will, by the AOC, Tlaib, Omar, Presley squad, the liberal, radical Democrat, socialist wing of the Democratic Party is the tail that's wagging the Democrat dog. I'm going to see this if President Trump loses in November, if we don't retake the House of Representatives, if we lose the Senate. I think you're going to see these types of policies. You're going to see open borders. You're going to see sanctuary cities all over. This could be a sanctuary country. You're going to see police departments closed down. Political correctness will be the rule of the day, the law of the land. You will see the Green New Deal policies come in at the end of the fossil fuel, oil and gas industry. You're going to see a whole lot of really bad socialist, anarchistic policies that have been coming out of the Democratic Party of late. And I hope the American people see this for what it is. It's a very great threat to our great nation, our democratic republic based on our Constitution and on our God. When you take God out of the equation, which a lot of these, which Antifa and Black Lives Matter and many of these socialists, they don't have an absolute right and wrong. We are based on the Judeo-Christian foundation of love your neighbor, of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And when we don't have that, chaos will reign, and you're going to see a lot of people get hurt.
All right, Congressman, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Great to be with you, Pearson. God bless.
Thank you.